Today on Locked On Rockies, despite striking out 17 times and going 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position, the Colorado Rockies win their first series of 2026.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the second day of April in the year 2026. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies, and I got to get your reactions to the Rockies stealing a series from the Toronto Blue Jays, striking out 17 times in the series finale, but getting the win in extras. We're going to break down the game from the offensive perspective. Plus, we got to give a tip of the cap to the pitching staff, as they were wonderful in this ball game and really have been pretty darn good throughout this entire season. And we'll also get your comments from the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section, all coming up on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. But before we go any further, got to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. During the tournament, FanDuel is offering $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. And remember, I am Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you this daily Colorado Rockies talk, as I have been for over 6 seasons now, I believe. That's hundreds of episodes going through the ups, the downs, and everything in between with the Colorado Rockies, with you, the Rockies fans. And how about that? A game that in reality was a frustrating one, but it was a game that going into it, you kind of saw the script playing out, and it wasn't surprising to you. Gausman is really, really good. He I believe, just set a Toronto Blue Jays record for most strikeouts in his first 2 starts to start a season. I believe taking the spot from David Price, I think is what the broadcast said. And he was dealing. And the Rockies offense was understandably struggling. It's difficult here. There are really good strikeout pitchers in baseball. There are, and the Rockies are going to face a lot of them out there. And when we just like we talked about yesterday with the Rockies aggression, with the fact that the Rockies swing a lot, the Rockies striking out, a team that strikeouts are still very much their biggest issue on offense. They were going to struggle in this game. It was going to be a challenge for them in this game, but the game stayed close throughout the entirety of it because the starting pitching, Kyle Freeland, threw a gem. I mean, you can't ask much more from Kyle Freeland to go up against this Blue Jays lineup and throw 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts, and only 1 walk. Kyle Freeland went blow for blow there with Gausman in this game, which was exactly what he needs to do. And it's going to be the challenge of Kyle Freeland almost basically every time he starts, right? As the rotation flips over, Kyle Freeland is going to be the one that the Rockies are turning to go up against the best arm that the opposition is offering for. So it is important that Kyle Freeland keeps the Rockies. We emphasize the importance of the veteran starters keeping the Rockies in these games, but it's extra important here when you're talking about Kyle Freeland in the situations of going up against the number 1 in the rotation. It's so important to have a start like that from Kyle Freeland to keep you in this game where your offense is going up against a guy that is going to be a problem for them. And a problem he was. He struck out 10 Rockies. The Rockies had moments. The Rockies had opportunities throughout this game before it got to extra innings. The Rockies were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Luckily enough, getting that 1 run across to tie the ball game up there, as Troy Johnston delivers that run with a multi-hit day for him. He's going to be making it real interesting for a conversation when Mickey Moniak comes back of what the Rockies are going to do. But you get at least the one timely hit to get it late in the game too, the 8th inning. This came against the Blue Jays bullpen here, as Gausman's 2 hits over 6 innings worth of work with 10 strikeouts. It doesn't get much more dominant than that. And it's a situation where, as much as it's a bummer, as much as it's frustrating, as much as you want to yell and hoot and holler about the Colorado Rockies and the strikeout problem there, obviously a huge problem, you're also like, that's what that guy does. I mean, he's really good at it. And it's one of those moments you kind of look at envious as a Rockies fan when there's a guy that can just dominate a lineup like that. The Rockies really don't seem to have someone that can do the damage on that level where he just the Rockies got, I think it wasn't until the fourth inning, I believe, when the Rockies got their first base runner. I mean, it was 12 up, 12 down. I know for sure. So the fifth inning then, if it was 12 up, 12 down. So, the Rockies were on their heels in this one. But the difference here is that the team didn't give up. The team didn't crater, right? This is a road game in a series in an environment that the Rockies have never won a series. The Rockies in their franchise history before stealing this one have never won a series in Toronto. And they are able to basically just deal with the blow after blow of the strikeouts, deal with just a grinded out type of game, and they won. They were unsuccessful in their first three tries in the one run ball games and get in the sweep in Miami, but in this one, they were able to persevere and get the timely hit and win an ugly one. A win's a win. Especially when we're talking about the Rockies right here, and we're talking about the fact that the 2025 Rockies didn't win a series until the beginning of June. And now here, the Rockies go on the road and they blow out the Blue Jays in their first in the first game that they win. Second game, lost. Hey, the better team won. And then in the close ball game, in the one in which the Blue Jays had the advantage, both lineup, starting pitcher, and across the board. And the Rockies are the ones that come out on top from just doing just enough to win. And I think it shows that there's a little bit more guts to this Rockies team. How did they get that first run? It's set up by a stolen base. The Rockies embracing one of the big pillars of their new identity, being aggressive on the base pass. It starts with a pinch runner for McCarthy to go out there and steal it. There are game plans and plans of attack, and the Rockies have utilized them. Again, they got to stop striking out. The Rockies strikeout problem, the Rockies chasing problem, the Rockies whiffing problem, it's a huge one. It's abundantly clear already to start the season that the Rockies did not make a lot of progress in changing the core guys of the Rockies lineup with their whiff problems. But when you add in a TJ Rumfield, a guy that's been taking very quality at bats and fighting things off and putting the ball in play and being successful that way, being a type of bat and a type of batter that the Rockies have not had in the lineup in what feels like years at this point, brings a little bit of the stability there. And hopefully the Rockies are able to adjust this. As it wasn't the perfect day, but the Rockies were still able to pick up 6 hits in this one, including a multi-hit. Like I said, multi-hit game from Troy Johnston. Ezekiel Tovar does pick up a hit. TJ Rumfield picking up a hit as well. Tough day a little bit for Goodman. Does draw the walk. The Rockies did draw 3 walks in this one as well. So it's not perfect. It's not ideal. But to win that ball game that's a statement of this team being more competitive this year as well. They didn't crater. They didn't crumble. They didn't boot the ball. They executed when they needed to execute. Not every time, but how many times have you seen the Rockies in the 10th inning really just fumble and really just do nothing? And how many times in that game did we see the Rockies strike out with runners in scoring position and strike out with there's nobody out, there's runners in scoring position, and it's 2 strikeouts? The Rockies had 5 batters in a row strike out in this game. But but because the pitching staff was able to carry the weight, and we'll dive more into the pitching staff here coming up in segment number 2, because we just got to talk about the fact that this was a well-pitched game across the board from both sides, really. But it's a small example, and it's early, and it's easy to overreact when you compare it. But it's just like the 2025 Rockies don't win that game, right? And it sure felt that way after coming off the Miami game too, or the Miami series, that the Rockies don't win those games. But this one they were able to pull off, and that's just it. That's an encouraging sign. But the backdrop of it, though, is that's an ugly, ugly win, man. The Rockies' issues when it comes to strikeouts and lack of clutch hitting, and especially lack of clutch hitting, is a big factor on the road. That's still that kind of is the big storm cloud that's over this. But the Rockies just stole a series from the American League champs on the road at the beginning of the season to set up the opening homestand. As Rockies fans, you'll take that absolutely. We're not ignoring the issues here, right? I'm not putting blinders on and avoiding the storm cloud above of the frustrations and issues that are already present about the Rockies offense. But that's a darn good way to end an East Coast road trip that's notoriously difficult. The Rockies always struggle in Miami. The Rockies never won a series in their franchise history in Toronto. They get swept in Miami, and then they go and blow out the American League champs to open up the series, and then they steal one in a game they had no business winning in game number 3. You'll take that. And that's the type of stuff that the Rockies need to do. The Rockies need to be able to win, grind it out, and win these one-run ball games. And it was great to see them, squeeze and eat this one out, especially coming off that sweep of 3 one-run losses to start the season in Miami. All right. We talked about a little bit of the big storylines and the offense there, but let's dive into the pitching because we can't overstate it. We saw some great pitching in this one. We're going to get to that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Indeed-sponsored jobs. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed-sponsored jobs. Indeed-sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed-sponsored jobs. You can head to Indeed.com/podcast and use this $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves when you head to Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast, and you can support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on the Locked On Rockies podcast. Head to Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed-sponsored jobs. Welcome back to segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Hey, a reminder, you can get the show ad-free by checking out the Everydayer Club, lockedonrockies.supercast.com, and use the code FINALLY, and you're going to get a free month, yes, a full month of access to the Everydayer Club Discord server and ad-free audio here from the show. Just tap the link in the show notes and use code FINALLY to claim your free month. Sorry, big sip of water there. Running around today doing chores while podcasting here. All right, here's the deal. So one of the things that we can't understate about this game, and really the start to the season, is the starting pitching specifically and the bullpen here. I mean, the bullpen was nails in this one. I mean, holy cow. I hope that now that he's done it a couple times and he has the experience of the season before, and he's had the offseason to work, he's had all this time to work with the new coaching staff. I hope that we're going to get the best version of Antonio Senzatella that we've seen. He looks comfortable and confident coming out of the bullpen. And the bonus part for him is, even the broadcast was talking about this a lot with Kyle, as I remember specifically when Springer was coming back up to the dish as he was going to go and do, I think it was around the 5th, 6th inning, something like, no, it'd be Kyle got through the 5th. So I believe right around the top of the 5th, maybe He got Springer at the end of the fourth. I can't remember there, but for Senza to not have to deal with that huge jump that statistically we see when pitchers go through the rotation or the batting order multiple times, I think that's going to be a huge win for him. He comes out of the pen and he fires 3 strikeouts and allows 1 hit over 2 innings worth of work in a massive situation for the Rockies here too. At that point, it's still a 1-run game. It's a 1-run game. The offense isn't doing much, or the Rockies offense struggles and has not come up clutch with the runners in scoring position. But then right after Kyle Freeland, Senza keeps it stable. Victor Vodnik comes in. No more strikeouts from the Rockies pitching staff, but 1 hit over 3 innings worth of work from Vodnik, Bernardino, and Herget. Huge nails. Again, it's the second series of the season. It's the beginning of the year. Teams are in a are still ramping things up. But that's the American League champs, man. That's the runners up to the Dodgers, the dreaded Dodgers last year that the Rockies just went and beat 2 out of 3 times, and a big part of that was because their pitching was wonderful. There were blemishes, right? They gave up 5 in game 2 there. The Chase Dolander gave up the home runs there. But in the finale, in the rubber match here, in the opportunity for the Rockies to win a series, the pitching led the way in this one. We talk about how the offense has to lead the way and has to be important. In this one, it was the pitching. The pitching kept the Rockies in this game, and then the offense did literally just enough, the bare minimum, to get the job done. But we can't ignore the fact that while the Rockies starters have not gone, deep in games, they so far now through 2 Kyle Freeland starts here. Kyle's allowed, runs in back-to-back performances, but this was exactly the type of stuff you're hoping to see from Kyle. And added onto it, 6 Ks from him too. He's got the pitch mix working there with Senza, getting almost 10 strikeouts from the Rockies pitching staff in this game. That's huge, man. And it's going to be critical, especially on the road where we know the like these types of performances when the Rockies can pitch this well on the road, and we haven't had the first experience of Coors and leaving and all that stuff, and what it's like going to be now going to Coors with some, I believe it's still going to be chilly. The forecast has changed. There was snow, but it doesn't sound like there's going to be snow anymore. But still, we're going to see how that might affect and impact these starters here. But through the first week of the season, that's a big win for the Rockies. It's a big win for the Rockies. Again, it's not the best. It's still and I think the frustration of pull. I think it is a little understandable. I think the starters could have stayed in some of these instances a little bit longer. I don't necessarily know why the Rockies were so keen to pull some of these guys. Maybe it is really to avoid that third time seeing them. I think that maybe this might have to be a trend that we see, that the Rockies going with shorter starts, but still in this situation, after the bullpen gets pretty taxed in game 2, it was huge that Kyle Freeland was able to pick up 5 innings there. Absolutely massive. And it's really important that the Rockies have 2 guys right now that they can turn to get multiple innings worth of work out of the bullpen in Dolander and Senzatella. And again, say what you will about Chase's performance, but for Senza so far out of the pen, couple of appearances, no earned runs, 3 strikeouts in this one. That's massive. If Senza really blossoms in this bullpen role, he's going to be a nice a weapon out of the pen for the Rockies here, especially in these games where it's going to matter to keep it close. I didn't like on the hit that he did give up. It was classic right down the middle and center cut. It didn't get too punished, but I really think Senza's in a good spot. I hope that we get to hear a little bit more from him as the season goes on and as things continue here. 2.2 innings worth of work, 3 strikeouts there, 0.75 on the whip there. That's a nice. I hope that it's not going to be this level of elite the whole time, but I am encouraged from Senza out of the pen, and hey, there's been the issues, right? We with Agnos and there have been some other concerns with some of the bullpen here. But the Rockies pitching staff has been pretty darn solid throughout the season. Let me see if I can pull up the stat here about the Rockies run differential. And this was, I believe, even before yesterday's game, but I'm going to try to pull this up here real quick just to highlight and emphasize how how bad things were here. This is from Patrick Saunders, I believe, leading into entering into game 2 yesterday. So the Rockies would have gone down to minus, or they would have been +1 and now up to +2. So I believe the Rockies quick math plus run differential as of now is +2. But here's what this was going into game 2 of this series from Patrick Saunders. Crazy stat of the day. Rockies have a +6 run differential entering tonight's game. First time with a positive run differential since April 2nd, 2023. Over 1,000 days between times that the Rockies had a positive run differential. So, again, that means the Rockies did not at any point in 2024 and 2025 have a positive run differential. That's insanity when you think about it. That's crazy. So it's a small step. It's an ugly win. It's a win that there are plenty of things to still raise your eyebrows at and be concerned about. But it's a big, big win for the Rockies to pull this out and get the job done for this. It's cool to see. Great to see. All right, let's take a look at some of your comments, and we'll probably wait on the previews here for the opening day, Coors opening day, I should say, for a little bit more on our Friday episode. But, man, what a great pitch. That was some great pitching we saw in this game, right? Let me know what your thoughts were. Let me know what your reactions are in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. We're going to read from that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. The tournament is here, one of the best times of the year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets. It's nonstop action from tip to final cutdown. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a way to stay in the action all tournament long. Here's the best part. You get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the entire tournament. You can mix it up however you want. Game picks, futures, or even same-game parlays for bigger potential payouts. Hey, give it, if you're having a good run on your bracket, why not see what the same game parlay can add a little juice there for you at the end. It's perfect for the tourney because every day there's something new, different matchups, new storylines, and more ways to get involved as the bracket unfolds. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action. Back at it here for segment number 3 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you again so much for making us your first listen of the day. That was a crazy one, man. I mean, it shows you the uniqueness of baseball. It shows you how weird the game can be, and that's part of why you love it, right? I mean, there's always any given Sunday, or a team can go on a run there. But 17 strikeouts and to win a 1-run ball game, there can't be very many of those that have happened, especially in the Rockies' history there. But really great to see, especially checking up. It's nice that the Rockies here are breaking some bad negative trends, making good history, right? First series win in Toronto ever, instead of historically bad start and constant trailing streak and worst run differential of all time. Now, the run differential probably is going to be very much subject to change, but hey, to have it's the beginning of the season, man. This is where weird things are going to happen. Weird moments like these are going to happen. But, you know, what will be interesting to think about, though, in the context of this series in the big picture is Toronto is going to be in a brutal fight for the playoffs this year. The AL East is stacked. Any team with playoff hopes that lose to the Rockies, you can piece. There's a lot that happens in between now and the end of the season, right? But if the Jays finish a game out, you're telling me a game in which you had 17 strikeouts against the Rockies at home isn't a little, in the big grand scheme of things of the huge long season of baseball where there's so many games where it doesn't feel like they matter. Are certainly plenty of situations in which this ball game on April 1st of the season, the conclusion of the second series of the season for the Jays could have a massive implication on their playoff route. They're a playoff caliber team. They're a great team. I'm not saying that they're really in danger there, but the difference in the AL East could be a game. It could be half a game. And so for every team that's going to make the playoffs is going to have a shot at the Rockies this year. And if you're a team like the Marlins, who the Rockies probably will play again, I'm assuming, but the sweep, and then if you can, if you go above 500 against the Rockies, that's going to help you in the wild card chase. The wild card teams need to beat the bad teams too, right? I mean, so for any of these playoff caliber teams to lose games to the Rockies, and especially to lose a game in which you're dominating, the Rockies offense had nothing in this one, but to be held at bay by the Rockies pitching staff, I mean, it's amazing. Kyle Freeland walked the tightrope like twice in that one. Herget comes in with the ghost runner on, slamming the door shut there. He's been great. I mean, I know he had that the sight set on starting, but late in the games when you're and the young Rockies, they're always exciting, but Herget has been solid enough that he brings that level of stability that is just encouraging and just something that I feel confident when he takes the rubber there. So a couple of comments here. My buddy Hell's Hero says this better be an April Fool's video in response to our the short about winning winning against the Jays. Dan the man, nope, not worried about Warren Schaefer, and I know you're always worried about the coaching staff, so not worried yet. But I'm sure we'll get some more comments from you throughout the year. Let's say Dice. I think let me see. Die says go Tomo. Yes, that's right. Tomoyuki Sagano there making his debut for the Rockies in that win in that opening game there. Gizmo Beach says Johnston looked good hanging back on that hanging curveball. He's going to make it. He is going to get a lot of. He's going to be a problem for the Warren Schaefer in a good way of the decisions he's going to have to make here when Moniak gets off the IL. As Tyler Freeman, I didn't even bring that up. What a moment there. Tyler Freeman returns from the IL. He hits it up the middle to bring in the go-ahead run for the Rockies there in extra innings. I really have been liking the Rockies' approach with shifting guys out, using the depth of the roster, and using the bench in order to create some situations here throughout the ball game, going for those matchups. It goes to show you, I think, that the Rockies really are looking at the game differently than we have have seen in the past. And a lot of good conversation, and I'd like to keep a monitoring of the Rockies calling the pitches out of the dugout. The broadcasters talked a lot about that quite a bit there as well. Folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB, then the Back to the Bullpen podcast over there on Locked On MLB. Plus, we got you covered with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on YouTube as well. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.